I posed a question on Tollett Cemetery that I thought would stir up a little interest and maybe a little animosity, but the question was, why is Elijah Gore Tollett buried with such an awesome tombstone marker, and his little sister Nancy is way down there under that tree with a little old marker like this. And so I began to think about families are kind of interesting. And Nancy was born in 1829. She mothered 11 children by 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4 fathers. Now, maybe that's something to do with why she got a smaller marker. It may tie into the fact that her first husband, John Young, and her last husband, Aaron A. Swafford, are both thought to be involved in the killing of John Tollett Jr. that Dan told us about last year. So here's Elijah Gore Tollett is the kind of the patriarch whose father was killed by a group of marauders in 1863 in the Civil War. How tough it'd be to live during those times when your neighbor might decide that if he supports the Confederacy and you support the Union or vice versa, this would be a good time to even the score with you over the chickens that got out. And so here's this woman that married 2 people that thought to be involved in the murder of her father in 1863. And so I don't know how well that sets with the rest of the family, because Elijah Gore Jr. and 4 of his sons at that great election day down at Melvin Old Hall at Melvin, which was a school and the community and the church and everything else. Election 1892, Benjamin Harrison was running against Grover Cleveland, and the Tolletts were known long to be Democrats and supporters of the Confederacy. The Swaffords, not completely, but mostly, were Republicans and supporters of the Union. So each one wanted, and I don't want to dwell too much on this conflict election day, but there was a shooting and there were some folks killed here, including Nancy's husband, Aaron A. Swafford, who had a bunch of children. Nancy only had 11. But anyway, the good things about Nancy is she was a beautiful lady, with especially known for her beautiful hair. She became a tremendous seamstress, and the thing she did that was so valued here in the valley, she could make patterns. If you have a special occasion coming up and you need a new dress, you couldn't run over to Hill's department store or down to Sales or something like this. And so what you do is go call Nancy and say, Nancy, I need a dress. I'll just go ahead and tell her. She had one child, Park, who is known to be of mixed race. And the suspicion is that the father was one of John's slaves, her dad's slaves there on the farm. But she also had a son with Aaron A., whose name was Jesse. Well, Jesse, I told you about this Tolletts and the Democrat Confederacy and the Swaffords and the Republican Union. Well, Jesse had a Swafford father and a Tollett mother. So both sides thought, we'll get this guy to vote with us when the election comes. So the Tolletts had hid him away over with one of the relatives. But meanwhile, Aaron A. and a couple of his boys went over the night before, and we use the term kidnap, but they just went over and invited him to come back and stay with them. And then the next morning, when they got up to come vote, they were in line when the polls opened and got Jesse to vote Republican. Okay, so that's just another little wrinkle.